Have you seen the Shaq clip that just went viral?
No.
Open up to a woman?
Yeah.
Never. No, never.
When's the last time you think you've opened up to a woman?
We don't.
That's why he's divorced.
Oh, shit.
Hello. About a month and a half. Not super long.
Yo, you're a wild girl. Yo.
Y'all don't try this at home. Okay, I have so much to say about that. How much time we got?
Hello and welcome to Hustle Over Everything podcast. This podcast receives stories, tips, and tactics from entrepreneurs who have done it. I'm Alex, and today we're talking therapy with CEO and founder Roxanne Francis. Roxanne, how are you?
I am doing good. So good to be here.
Most definitely. So, listen, it is a touchy subject a lot of times when it comes to therapy and entrepreneurs, especially Black entrepreneurs. I want to ask you right off the bat, why is almost every entrepreneur talking about anxiety?
Anxiety is one of the fastest growing mental health concerns. And Black entrepreneurs struggle with anxiety for multiple reasons. The biggest reason is because entrepreneurship is so unpredictable, right? Sometimes it's feast, sometimes it's famine. You're up or you're down. You're swimming in money or you don't know where it's coming from. If you don't have a regular offer with money coming in on a regular basis, it can be really, really challenging. And the other thing about entrepreneurs these days is that most of us are on social media and we have to present as though things are going well when sometimes things are not going well, because you want people to feel confident in you. To know that you know what you're talking about, or that you are successful, and so that they can put their trust in you. The dichotomy, though, is that people feel like they have to portray something that actually isn't true, and so sometimes they struggle with that internally. Many people struggle with showing up, or being very forthcoming, or being out there, right, with telling people what they do and who they are. Some people struggle with that. Not every entrepreneur is an outgoing person. There are many introverts who are entrepreneurs, but because you have to be a marketer when you run a business, for those people who are introverts, it's exhausting, it's challenging, and it's anxiety provoking, right? What are these people thinking of me? And the other thing is that sometimes we look at our colleagues and our friends who are doing well. You know, the comparison trap about social media, where it looks like other people are doing well when you feel like you're not doing well. And you wonder, am I the only one who's struggling? How is it that they're doing well and I don't feel like I'm doing well? How come it looks like they're constantly on vacation and I can barely go to the grocery store or put gas in my tank? And so those discrepancies set the foundation or sow the seeds of anxiety, if you will. And so entrepreneurs have to be mindful of being honest with themselves, getting some community so that they can have honest conversations with each other. Because when you're alone, you don't really know what's up. When you are around other people who are doing the same thing, or people who are a few steps ahead of you, you begin to realize, oh, okay, so this is actually supposed to happen around year 2, year 3. You begin to realize that it's not just you, that you're not a failure. It's just the ebb and flow of your industry, of the hustle, right? And we have to give ourselves a break.
This podcast is brought to you by Narai Cellars Wine, one of the only Black-owned wine companies in Canada. So not only are you supporting the show, but you're supporting Black ownership. Now, who is Narai Cellars Wine? They have 10 years of experience in winemaking. So what we're gonna do is gonna hit the link below and visit naraicellars.ca and try the wine for yourself. Let's get back into the show. So when it comes to giving ourselves a break, what are the mental practices that we can do to give ourselves a break?
Okay, so there are a few things just in terms of taking care of your mental wellness. And these are things that you probably hear from many therapists who are out there doing the thing. But getting some rest. And I know when it comes to hustle and grind mode, sometimes people are like, team no sleep, but getting rest is really important. taking care of your physical self. So getting some exercise, going for a walk. You don't have to be in the gym every day, but stretching, some movement, that's really, really helpful. Staying connected with people. So being social in some way, because otherwise we get into our heads, right? And we tell ourselves these stories that are not true. So when you're around people and you're hearing the real stories, that's helpful. Getting some laughter, eating healthy. If sometimes people don't eat healthy all the time, but getting a healthy meal every once in a while at least, drinking water, journaling is super, super helpful. These are just some of the regular things that you can do that don't really cost a lot of money to just try to take care of yourself, right? Take a break every once in a while. Rome was not built in a day, and your business will not be built in a day either, right? Cut yourself some slack. Get some advice from a mentor or a therapist, and and take it easy on yourself.
Most definitely. Now let's take a step back. You know, 'cause we need to introduce you to the audience a little bit more in depth.
Yeah.
You know, we have a question on the podcast that's very consistent. That is, what is your Broughtupsy? You know, talk to me.
My Broughtupsy. So I was raised in Kingston, Jamaica.
Okay.
I went to school there. I went to elementary or primary school. I went to high school. I started university in Jamaica, and then my family moved. We moved to Canada when I was in my second year at the University of the West Indies in the Mona campus. I was actually studying biochemistry in Jamaica and had to come here, and sort of life turned upside down, right? Immigration is not cute.
Yeah.
Any immigrant will tell you that they have a story. Yeah. And so I had to put school on hold. I had to join the workforce. And in living my life and stepping more into my adulthood here, I realized that I didn't want to be in a lab coat in someone's lab all day, every day. And I really enjoyed connecting with people. So I went back to school for social work. But I brought up Kingston, Jamaica all day.
So as a person that's from Kingston, Jamaica, when you come here and you see people kind of like me that are born in Canada, raised in Canada, and claim Jamaican, how does that make you feel? Keep it a buck with me. Yeah,
I feel proud.
Really?
Yeah, because, so there are people who are just like, you're not Jamaican. I'm the only one who can claim Jamaican ancestry because I was born there, blah, 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 blah. I don't really ascribe to that. I feel proud because people want to be Jamaican, right? We're from this tiny island, but our influence is unbelievable. You find Jamaicans and Jamaican influence and Jamaican food all over the globe. And I just think it's cool that people born here of Jamaican parents claim Jamaica. And I think it's great for the country because, people might go back and purchase land or invest and build up the island. So I think it's great.
I love that because I think it's great too. But we get a lot of hate.
We shouldn't get hate. You shouldn't get hate.
For sure. And it's like, it's hate until you're successful is how I see it.
Hey.
Because...
there you go. I hear that a lot too.
Yeah, because mind you, if a Jamaican-born Canadian, Canadian-born Jamaican becomes prime minister.
Yes.
All of Jamaica's turning up. For sure. For sure, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And, when it comes to going from country to country, I feel like almost any, for instance, a lot of our parents are the first immigrants.
Yeah.
And it feels like they have a traumatic story that just gets tucked away with them, Because I feel like that story rarely gets told. They'll just glance over we came here, Just glance over it when it's a real thing to move from country to country, move from place to place, move from Etobicoke to like Saga can be a thing.
Yes.
But moving from a country to a country must be a huge experience. So did you have a culture shock when you came here?
Want to hear something funny?
Talk to me.
I left the small but bustling metropolis of Kingston, Jamaica, and moved to Regina, Saskatchewan.
Regina? I almost said the
I know. I saw that. Moved to Regina, Saskatchewan, which is a lot quieter.
A lot quieter.
A lot wider.
A lot wider.
And a lot colder. We experienced winter was unbelievable. And my mom said, as soon as this ground thaws, we out, right? She had cousins in Ontario, and we left after the first winter.
Damn.
But it was cold, and the culture shock was unreal. It's interesting because, there's not a huge there's some Black families out there, but it's not a huge Black population, right? I would be in the grocery store and I might see someone like aisles down who's Black, and we're waving at each other because it's you don't see Black people all over the place. And we moved to Mississauga at the time, and I was stunned. Like, I was hearing patois in the supermarket, and I was saying hi to people every 5 minutes, and people are looking at me like, what's wrong with you? But I was just so excited to be around people. I went from a neighborhood where there was one West Indian store in like the whole city to, a location where there's West Indian stores all over the place, where you could go in the grocery store and buy Jamaican food.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty dope. So yeah, culture shock, but it was definitely an experience.
Yeah. You realize how much you really can depend on your culture when you travel.
Yeah.
And how much it really means. Like, when I've traveled abroad, when I see somebody that has a Jamaican flag at all, you're like, oh shit,
yes.
I could talk to you,
Yes.
So yeah, it's a real thing. So now, when did you become a therapist?
So I moved from Kingston to Regina to Ontario, and had to join the workforce. I couldn't go back to school right away. And then eventually, while I was working, I realized, okay, I need to go back to school. I need to finish up. And I realized that I wanted to go to school for social work. So I did that. Mm-hmm. And I left school and started working for an agency and started doing social work, and was working with children and families, and working with children who had behavioral problems. Mm-hmm. But began to realize that I was doing a lot of play therapy with the kids and doing a lot of parenting therapy or couple therapy with the parents. And then eventually, after working with a few agencies, working with people, doing therapy, left full-time agency and started my own therapy practice.
Got you. So it must have been a huge jump going from working full-time to starting your own practice.
It was scary.
Really?
I'll tell you that. It was scary because it's one thing to have a paycheck hitting your account every 2 weeks. You have your pension, you have benefits. It's what a friend of mine calls it, the golden handcuff, right? At the time, I loved my clients, I loved my colleagues. Management was really, really challenging, and I had 2 small children at home that I wasn't seeing very often because work was so busy. And so those were some of the reasons why I decided to leave, but it was challenging. And, I told my mom that I was leaving my full-time job. She thought it was bananas, right? You gotta leave your pension, you gotta leave your benefits, right? What, you mad?
What weirds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, and so it was scary. It was scary for those reasons, like, what if it doesn't work? But my partner is really amazing, very, very supportive. And he said, listen, I think you're onto something. I think you should try it. And if it doesn't work, your degree not gonna spoil, right? Go brush it off and go find something else. But let's give this a good try and see if it works. And here we are.
What was the most trying time during that period? Because now you have a full team. You have a team of 10 plus people.
Yes.
You're looking for an office. Everybody's virtual.
Yes.
But during those messy middle moments.
Yes.
What were some of the trying times?
Listen, the more subscribers we have, the better the guests get. So please hit subscribe. Let's get back into the show.
The first trying time that I had was when the world shut down for COVID. Because I actually was in a space. I was actually renting a space. I had a physical location. And then the world shut down and everyone went home. And I sent an email out to all my clients and said, okay, we're going to try this Zoom thing. I was actually seeing a couple clients online, clients who work shift or whatever. But I would say 95% of my clients were in person. And so I sent an email to everybody and said, okay. And that time it was just me. I was a solopreneur. And I said, all right, so we're going to do this online thing. And we're going to just take all the sessions online. And about 80% of them said, thanks, but no thanks. We're just going to wait until this blows over. And I remember looking at my husband saying, what the heck are we going to do? And he said, to his credit, he said, don't worry, I have a feeling that this thing is going to last a lot longer than people expect, and they're all going to come back. And he was right.
They're going to come back like addicts. You got any more of that therapy?
Yeah, exactly.
You got any more?
Exactly.
For sure.
It was quiet for maybe about 2 or 3 months. And then once we realized that this thing wasn't going away and we couldn't go anywhere, people started to go a little bit people started calling. And online just became a thing, and it picked right up. And was it during the pandemic? Just as we were coming out of the pandemic, my wait list got so long that it felt unethical to keep people waiting for so long to see me. And that's when I decided to bring on team. Because as a therapist, it just felt icky and irresponsible for someone to call and say, I need therapy, and for me to tell them you have to wait 7 weeks to see me. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
Yeah.
Going from one person to a team.
Yeah.
Break that down. How did you save up enough money? Did you go to a financial analyst to make sure you have enough money? Like what? That's a good messy middle that a lot of us, one thing I heard a stat, and I don't know how true it is, but looking around, I can vision it to be true, that 90% of entrepreneurs don't have employees, especially Black entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And having that employee is such a key factor, especially here in Canada, because it's costly to have an employees here. So talk about that, hiring a first and second employee.
So I will tell you this, y'all don't try this at home. Consult your financial analyst for sure.
Okay.
But I did not do that. I did not get a financial strategist until maybe about 2 years ago. In the messy middle, as you put it, I had a virtual assistant by then who was awesome. And I just decided that, listen, we're going to put together a job description, and we're going to post a job, and we're going to interview some people, and we're going to hire. I just need someone who's excellent and capable to see these other people who are on the wait list, because I don't want people on wait list. And believe it or not, I only intended to hire one person, and I ended up hiring 4. I know.
Whoa.
Y'all, again, don't try this at home. I'm just letting you know what happened for me. I put out a call. We put out the job description. We had a number of applicants. I looked at all the applications. We whittled them down to a few. We had a few interviews. And I ended up with 4 really amazing resumes. And I didn't know what to do. I needed to call these people and let them know whether or not they were getting the job, but I could not decide. They were all really skilled in different areas, and I wasn't sure what to do. And I remember I tell this story all the time. I remember sitting at the kitchen table just worrying over these resumes. My husband walks in and he says, "What's going on?" And I said, "I have these 4 people, and I really wish I could hire them all, but I've never had a team before. I don't know how to deal with people. It's just me and my VA right now. I don't know how to manage a team." And on his way out the kitchen, he throws over his shoulder and he says to me, the only reason you cannot handle a team is because you tell yourself you can't handle a team. And I was like, all right, bet. And I called my VA and I said, we're going to offer them all, but we're going to stagger their start date. And we're going to train them on our system and let them know that we'll start them with a couple clients at first. And then we'll build their caseload slowly. And what I did was, a coach that I worked with actually said to me, don't let the whole world know about your team until you've given them a few months so that you actually know that they work well with your clients. And so I did that. Mm-hmm. We brought them on in September, and then in December, I let the whole world know that we had these amazing humans, and the floodgates just opened and people started calling, and we started filling up quickly.
Wow.
Yeah. So I learned on the job. And what I have done now is that there's a community of therapists out there, at least a community that I'm aware of that we have built. And what I do now is I support other therapists who are in the field. Just yesterday, I was on the phone with someone who called me and said, I'm doing great with my practice, but I want to bring on a team and I have no idea what to do. Can you spend an afternoon with me and help me bang it out. And I said, sure. So one of the things that I do now is I help therapists build their practice or grow their practice or figure out what the next step is because I've walked through that already.
Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with the business term runway?
Yes.
So how much runway did you have when you went to hire?
I would say about a month and a half. Not super long.
Yo, you're a wild girl. Yo.
Y'all, don't try this at home. When you say runway, you mean like how much time I had doing the business myself first?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. But I mean, my runway is like the amount of money you had in the bank to last the business.
Oh yeah. About a month and a half.
A month and a half.
Yeah.
Yo.
Like I said, so it's interesting because one of the reasons why I'm really passionate about I'm passionate about therapy in general, but I'm also passionate about supporting other therapists because we go to school and they teach you about the anxiety, they teach you about the depression, they teach you about how to manage the mental health piece, but nobody teaches you anything about business, right? So I've made mistakes. I've invested money in things that I should not have invested in. I have done things and I have not seen the return. I have spent time and energy and tears and late nights up till 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure things out because I couldn't afford to pay people. So I got to do it myself. And so I'm now at this place where I'm like, okay, somebody's got to let the people know because people are out here gatekeeping and therapists are saying, yeah, I'm ready to start my practice, but they don't know nothing, right? So I think it's really important that we tell people what's up.
Most definitely. Shout out to you. You have balls of steel. I appreciate you. All right. So let's pivot into. Actually, no. Before you get to that.
Yeah.
What's the worst investment that you've made?
The worst investment?
Worst investment.
Oh my gosh.
What's the worst and let's do best.
I would say investing in Facebook ads too early.
How did I know it was going to be marketing? I knew it was going to be marketing. But I should have wrote it down. Something told me it's going to be marketing. All right, so what happened?
I didn't know what I didn't know, right? I was just like, yay, Facebook ads. And I put money in, but I don't think I had enough to run the ads for a long season. I was just like, oh, we're going to advertise, we're going to get people. But it doesn't work like that, right? So I think if I had more knowledge, if I had more time to understand what that was all about, I would have approached that differently. I would have waited and I would have been able to have enough money to invest for a longer period of time to give myself enough traction, right? But I didn't. And so I don't think that money was the best money spent.
Got it. How much are we talking? Give me a ballpark. About
10 grand. Over the course of a few months, like working with someone who was helping,
marketing
right?
Agency, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that again right now. I know more. I know better now. But I know you just asked me about the worst money that I spent. The best money that I've spent is also in marketing. The best money that I invested in was hiring a branding coach.
Interesting.
Someone who is like her bread and butter is personal brands.
Yeah.
And so I went from someone in the corner with an Instagram account with like 150 person following, nothing wrong with that, but working with her, understanding what I stand for, how I want people to see me, how I should show up, when I should show up, what platforms to show up on, which platforms I prefer, what should I talk about, like all those pieces, showing up like a boss, like all of those things, and my business, night and day, complete night and day. I went from nobody knowing me to sort of being all over the place. And
shout her out. Who was that person?
Monique Bryan.
I knew it was Monique.
How did you know?
I knew it was Monique. Listen, shout out to Monique Bryan.
She's a G.
Listen, so I first bumped into Monique at Afrotech.
And
she ran me for filth.
Hey.
So shout out to Monique. You probably knows the story. Monique, we got to get you on the show.
Yes.
So Monique always has the cute glasses.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So her glasses caught my attention. You start talking. I'm like, oh, you're she's from Toronto. I'm all from Toronto too. Amazing. And I said, let's exchange business cards. She hands me the thickest paper
Listen.
I've ever seen in my life.
Listen.
And I'm like, what the hell is this?
She is the template.
Yeah. So I'm like, what the hell is this? I take up my card's bent. My card's looking sad. Look like to a thick. It looks like a phone to like a little flimsy thing in the air that could go. And
See?
It's gone.
And I bet you never forgot that business card. Unforgettable. I've learned so many things from that woman.
Honestly, I forgot the business card. I just didn't forget the roasting. The roasting was what got me. To this day, when someone talk to me about Monique Brown, I'm like, the girl that roasted me. Yeah. Crazy. You know? So now every time I get a business card, I'm getting the thickest. I haven't got a business card until I get the super thickest, moo, plastic, whatever. You know? Yeah. But shout out to Monique. We got to get you on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, most definitely. That's interesting. So she made you focus on how you're showing up.
Yes.
And the et ceteras. Can you touch a little bit more on that?
Yeah. One of the things she said to me was your personal, I don't want to misquote her, but something along the lines of your personal brand is what people think and say about you when you're not in the room. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, let's go. She also, I was in an incubator that she had. I was in a mastermind that she had. She helped me figure out, one of my goals when I started working with her was not only to fill my caseload, my practice with clients, but I also wanted to get into speaking. I also wanted to get into media. And she challenged me. She said, okay, what exactly it is about speaking, we have to get specific. Because if you don't have a specific goal, you'll go all over the place. Mm-hmm. And so now, I recently signed with a speakers bureau because I started getting so many speaking opportunities and opportunities for sharing. So now I'm a corporate consultant. I go into organizations and I talk to businesses about mental wellness and psychological safety and Blackness at work and all those things. Monique helped me figure out pricing. She helped me figure out how to say no in a nice way, how to say I'm not doing that for free. She helped me figure out my team. I remember when I was thinking about hiring a VA and saying, I can't afford that. And she said, you cannot wait until you need a VA to hire a VA, because then you won't have time to train anybody. So hire them now, even if it's only for 2 hours a week, and then slowly build. That was some of the best advice that I've ever gotten. She's just awesome. Everybody needs a Monique.
Shout out to Monique. And now let's get into therapy. Let's get into therapy back.
Yeah.
There was a clip I saw online that shot up from Chris Willx.
Yeah.
That men need therapy different than women need therapy.
Totally.
Really? Break that down. Why do you think that is, and what therapy do men need that different?
So let me just say, everybody needs therapy. Let's just put that out there. It's helpful, right? Even if you think you've got nothing, it's helpful. And I'm not saying that men need to I don't know, sports therapy or whatever. But what I mean is men and women communicate differently, right? You ask a woman how her day went, and you'll get all the things. You ask a guy how his day went, he'll just say, all right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Women, I forget the stat, something like women will speak 80,000 words a day, and men will speak 5,000, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's different. Yes, men can go to women for therapy, and that's worked. I've had male clients, and it's really been helpful for them. But men understand men, right? And it's one of the reasons why I was so adamant to get a guy on our team. And a lot of the men are now coming to see him. We're seeing an uptick in young men who are coming in for therapy. The teens now feel like they have someone that will understand them, men understand how men communicate, right? They also understand that a lot of men go through challenging seasons in their life. A lot of Black men in particular go through a lot of trauma that they don't want to talk about. They don't tell their women about it. They don't tell the parents about it, but it's there. Men struggle with eating issues. Men struggle with serious bullying. Men struggle with sexual assault, all kinds of things. And they just don't talk about it. But if you are talking to a guy who says, I've got you, chances are you're going to pull it out and you're going to access your healing. So I say to all the men who are listening, I say, I think you should give it a try.
That's big. I was working on you, bro. I'm trying to get my eyes to try therapy out. Now, let's circle and focusing on entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
One of the big things with entrepreneurs is that they're salesmen.
Yes.
So they're consistently hearing no.
Yes.
Right? Now, what mental practices can we have to reinforce our self-worth not being attached to our business so those no's don't have us discouraged?
Yes. So a part of the human condition, or a part of the human experience, or things that people need to feel whole and happy and well-balanced, is a sense of belonging, right? A sense of belonging to a group or a family or a culture. Human beings are not designed to exist, you one, out there by yourself. It's just not, right? Now, when someone is rejected, it sets off a tailspin of grief and this sense of I'm not good enough, right? Hearing no is a form of rejection. And so when you are in the realm of entrepreneurship and you try to sell something or you put out your offer and nobody comes, it's all of those ways of hearing no is a form of rejection. What we have to tell ourselves is that they're not rejecting us. They're rejecting the product, they're rejecting the service, and they're not rejecting us, right? We also have to remind ourselves that we are not, one of the things that I often talk to people about is separating your personal identity from the work that you do, right? And it's really hard for entrepreneurs because you've created this thing out of yourself. But I encourage people to engage in a little practice where, sometimes let me ask you, if you went to Afrotech and you met someone for the first time and you were introducing yourself, how would you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Alex. I'm the owner of a media company called Hustle Over Everything.
Yeah.
A form of Wit Media.
Yeah. Okay, great. Most people will do that. Most people introduce themselves by what they do, who they love, who they're connected to. I will now ask you, if you went to someone's birthday party and you met someone for the first time, how would you introduce yourself there?
I would just say what's up.
Same.
Yeah.
You would say what's up?
Yeah, I would say what's up. I'm Alex. I'll try to leave the business out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you said that, because oftentimes people will introduce themselves as what they do, who they love, who they take care of, who they're responsible for, no matter what, no matter where they are. And it's really important, the exercise that I will challenge you to go home and do, you don't have to do that here, but think about introducing yourself by the things that you like to do. What lights you up? What makes you happy outside of work? How can you introduce yourself outside of what you do, who you love, and who you're connected to?
What?
Yes. So your hobbies.
Hold up. So I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm Alex and I love soccer.
Okay, so not necessarily like at the birthday party, right?
Okay,
but
yeah.
I want you to, the reason I bring that up is because I want you to consider, who are you outside of work?
Yes.
Because when you only consider yourself as your work, then when someone in your work or someone that you're trying to sell to tells you no, then you feel like it's a personal rejection.
Yeah.
But when you can separate yourself and say, I love soccer, I love to cook, I love wine, I like to ski, I like fried dumpling, whatever it is, right?
I love fried dumpling, for sure.
Then it is easier for you to separate your personal entity from the business entity. So when someone says no to your product or someone says no to your service, it isn't so much of a personal kick in the chest, right? So separating your human, personal lived experience from the entrepreneur experience, right? That's really, really important to, and also too, when you are thinking of someone rejecting you, understand that they're not rejecting you. They're just saying no to the product or service that you're offering them. And you also want to consider that you don't know why. Most times, you might not know why they're saying no. For some people, it might be not now. For some people, they don't have enough money. For some people, their family is a mess. They can't focus on the thing right now. Some people are dealing with grief and they can't wrap their minds around the thing. There's so many reasons why people will say no, and oftentimes it isn't about you and your product.
Fair. Now, with handling the product and the employees that come with it, you're the last wall of defense, right? And with being the last wall of defense or last line of defense, there's a pressure that comes with it because you feel like these people's lives are dependent on you.
Yes.
Right? And they kind of are, to be honest. So how can an entrepreneur deal with that pressure in a positive way?
That's a good question. So certainly do what you can to put buffers in place so that, now that I'm in entrepreneurship for a few years, I know that the benefits of having a financial buffer, right, to kind of ease off some of that pressure. But sometimes you're in the messy middle and you don't have that yet. But if you have employees that depend on you and things are tight, customers are not coming in, I encourage a little bit of transparency. My team and I, we have a meeting regularly and we talk about how the business is doing. And, after a while, when we got really busy during the pandemic, and, when the pandemic kind of eased off and the sun came out, everybody was outside and nobody needed therapy. And, some new therapists don't know that in the summertime, income goes down because people are out there living their best lives. And so when there was a season for us when there was not a lot of money coming in, and I called a meeting and I said, hey, transparency, this is what's up. Now, I might not have shown them all the books, but I've said, you've noticed that caseloads are lighter. Here's what's going on. And I need all hands on deck when it comes to helping with marketing, right? So we had a brainstorm meeting about, we went to a co-working space. We put these giant stickies on the wall. Everyone had Sharpies, and we were going around, like brainstorming around what can we do to pull everything together as much as possible to make sure that our business stays afloat. You might be the boss or the leader, but your employees are part of your team. And they should have a vested interest in the business doing well. Because if they're not pulling up their stocks, if it's not all hands on deck, then they could be out of a job. You don't want that, and they don't want that. And so I think it's really important to have some transparency and letting people feel like, they're a part of this system. The business might not completely depend on them, but they're a part of what's going on. And so I think it helps with loyalty. It helps with people feeling like they have skin in the game. And it helps with this camaraderie, right? This sort of everyone all in this together. So that, I think, helps with relieving some of the pressure. I think it's also important to have a mentor or have a business coach, someone that you can talk to about the pressure that you are under. There is a really amazing marketing genius. I believe he's from Atlanta. His name is Madi Woodard. I don't know if you follow him. He is always posting about marketing. He's really great. He posted something that I really believe in. He says, every single entrepreneur must have a therapist because it is so easy to fall into those mental thinking traps. And if you don't have a therapist, then I say you must have a coach or a mentor or someone who is speaking into you to help you carry the load of running a business, of not feeling like you're profitable, of wondering how we're going to make it into next month. it is not uncommon for people out here who run businesses, who are in the messy middle, to pay their whole team and are shaking down the coin jar to find money to buy groceries, right? A lot of entrepreneurs out there in the messy middle are paying themselves last and are paying themselves crumbs to make sure that everybody else on their team is eating bread, right? So understand that if this is something that you're going through, you are not alone. It doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that your business is going to collapse. This is just par for the course. And you need to talk to somebody who is doing this, who has experienced this, so that you know that it's not just you. Right?
Big gems. Big gems, for sure. And speaking of that and having people to open up to, have you seen the Shaq clip that just went viral?
No, tell me.
Shaq just had a clip where he said, you shouldn't open up to women.
Hey.
You know, if you have a woman, you shouldn't open up to her. And that's
why he's divorced.
Oh, shit.
Hello.
Yeah. And I want to get your take on that, you know, because a lot of guys do feel like they cannot open up to their woman because they feel like, you know what? This is what it feels like. It feels like you have a limited amount of opens that you have before she's questioning if the man of the house can lead.
Okay, I have so much to say about that. How much time we got?
No, it's a real thing though, you know?
It might be a real thing, but it shouldn't be. And this is why I think people should not go into relationships lightly. People should not, yes, people should date and figure out if you're gonna spend your life with somebody. But if you have decided to do life, like long-term life, whether or not you're married but you've decided that this is your lifelong partner, there needs to be vulnerability. There needs to be full vulnerability. And that means you need to be able to look at your partner and say, I don't know what I'm gonna do, right? And the other person needs to be able to say, I've got you, right? The other person needs to be able to say, listen, we're all human beings. None of us are superhuman. Men are not superhuman. It's not like, well, you know, the woman should cry on my shoulder and I have to toughen it out. And so what happened when you need to cry? What happened to that, right? If you cannot look at your woman and say, I'm really stressed and I'm not sure what's going to happen with my job. Or they're letting go my whole department tomorrow and we don't have enough savings and I don't know what to do. That woman needs to be able to say, I've got you. I will work overtime until we figure this out, right? That's what it means to partner. You have to be able to depend on each other. I had a personal experience, and I don't mind sharing about this, when my husband collapsed one morning and I had to call 911, right? And I had to be on the phone with his job, sorting out benefits, dealing with hospital. Thankfully, he's fine. But it shouldn't just be that men can only be vulnerable when they're physically unwell. They need to be able to be vulnerable when they're emotionally unwell as well, right? Mm-hmm. And women cannot be so immature. Yes, I said it. Women cannot be so immature that we're only okay with the guy when he's tough and can handle business, right? He must be able to come to, and as women, we have to create a soft, safe space so that this man that we love feels emotionally safe enough, psychologically safe enough. I'm getting all hot and bothered, right? These men must be able to come to us and say, I don't know what to do. And we must be able to put his head in our lap and say, it's okay. I got you. If you are only riding when he's all like, I got this, go shopping, go do your hair. If that's the only time that you are down with your man, you're not ready for this. You are not ready. Take a break from the relationship. Go see your therapist. Go sort it out. You are not ready for the long haul if you are only there for your man when he's got you. you must be there for him as well. Vulnerability is vulnerability on both sides is the bedrock of a solid relationship. If we don't have that, it's a matter of time. I guarantee you.
That was a mic drop right there. Damn. Nah, that honestly, like, when you said that, it struck a chord with me, you know? I've definitely been on that side where you don't feel safe, psychologically safe to speak, you know, because you feel the repercussion of what happens when you talk. And yeah, and honestly, it comes, I think one of the quotes I've had in the pod is recognize the traits that you are familiar with your mom.
Yes.
That you don't like because it's familiar, you know? So you naturally will gravitate towards it even though you don't even like it.
Yes.
But it's familiar.
Yes.
You know?
And that's why things like having a mentor, seeing a therapist, because when you are just by yourself, you can't see all of you. You need someone else who can see into you and give you that perspective.
Most definitely. Now, let's wrap on two more things. We'll talk about loneliness. We're going to do a deal or no deal. All right. So loneliness is a very common problem.
Huge.
With entrepreneurs. You know, a lot of us are solo founders. So we're dealing with everything by ourselves, and the weight of the world, it feels like it's all on our shoulders, right? The person that cannot afford therapy.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
What options do they have?
Get around like-minded people. Get around people who are going in the same direction as you. Do not get around people who are going in the opposite direction. We're talking to you about your little business. Don't get around those people. Get around people who are grinding like you, who have big ambition and big vision just like you. Get together once a month. Connect with each other. I have some OG therapists that I meet with once a month. We get together on the third Thursday evening of every month, and we hash it out. We talk about our businesses. We talk about clients that we're stuck with. We support each other. If you cannot afford therapy, get around people who are going in the same direction as you and meet up on a regular basis. If you cannot afford therapy, get a journal. A journal is like a therapist that does not talk back. Put your thoughts down in that journal. What else? Take care of yourself. Make sure you're seeing your doctor. I know a lot of people don't like going to the doctor. Make sure you are seeing your doctor, because your doctor might be able to flag some things that you may not notice, physically and mentally as well. The other thing that I would say, if you can't afford a therapist, listen to some therapy podcasts. Those are free. There's some therapists out there that are dropping some really good gems.
Could you send some and I'll put them in the link in the description?
Yes. Therapy for Black girls.
Yes. I was listening to that on the way here, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
There is, who else? There is a woman that I know who actually has a podcast for people who are caregiving, right? So if you are taking care of someone who's sick, or you're taking care of an elderly parent, her podcast is called Compassion and Caregiving. And I'm trying to remember who else. There's some others that are specific to therapists.
Yeah.
But those are two that I can think of off the top of my head.
One I can name for the guys is Express Yourself Black Man. Shout out
Ooh,
to
I love
Express
that.
Yourself Black Man.
Express Yourself Black Man?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
That's a therapy for Black men.
Yes.
One that I think has helped, it's not a therapy podcast, but it's on wellness, is The Friend Zone. I listen to that.
The Friend Zone?
Yeah. The Friend Zone's a good one. I think that's all for me. Currently.
There's another one by a colleague of mine. Her name is Colleen Blake Miller, and it's called My Amazing Life. It's a podcast about wellness, not specifically therapy, but just about wellness and life and navigating some of these ins and outs and ups and downs. So that's good too.
Most definitely. So now let's wrap on a deal or no deal.
Okay.
All right.
Should I be scared?
No. So you finally find another Facebook marketer.
Okay.
You hire them to work with you full time.
Yes.
And they start off with things going extremely well.
Yes.
They're bringing in cost per leads at $7 per lead. And you're like, sheesh,
Yep.
killing it.
Yeah.
They have a traumatic experience.
They have, pardon?
A traumatic experience.
They have a traumatic experience. Okay.
Yes. You know, and they don't want to get into it, but they can tell. You can tell they're different. Mm-hmm. And their performance starts to dip. They know it, you know it, and you're now in the middle where you have to consider, for the cost of this person, the business is suffering a little bit. So they come to you and say, hey, I need to take 3 months off to get back to where I need to be. Then I think I can be where I was.
Yeah.
Deal or no deal?
Do I have to pick one? I would say, and deal would mean I agree with them. I agree to do that.
You agree to 3 months off, even though they've been poorly performing for a good while.
I would say no deal. And here's why. Because I couldn't pick an in-between. I would ask them to refer me to their next best person for the 3 months that they're off. I want them to go take care of themselves. If you want a therapy referral, I got you. But you need to give me another marketer referral because I have to keep my business up, right? I can't just, you need to go take care of yourself 100%, but I don't want to be left high and dry for the 3 months.
Love it. That was good. That was good. So before we wrap up, where can people find you?
Yes, I am all over these internet streets. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook at Francis Psychotherapy, and the website is the same, francispsychotherapy.com. Yeah, just Google my name, Roxanne Francis. I'm all over the place.
Amazing, amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the podcast. Also, what you can't control. So control your grind, I control your life. I'm Alex.
I'm Roxanne.
Nice to show y'all. Peace.